Hi, everyone. This is Harry Hoffman, Global Member Care Network, and we have Hosea today, an interview with Hosea from Kenya. Would you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, okay. My name is Hosea Kimaiyo. Come from Africa, Kenya specifically. I'm so much interested in member care, and one of the things that I do is engaging on care for the African missionary kids, the indigenous African missionary kids. So I had an organization called Wena Africa, which comprises most of the missionary kids from Africa, and we currently work in Kenya, and we hope to continue impacting other missionaries in the continent. I'm interested in the especially in the missionary kid because I myself happened to be an MK personally. I grew up among unreached people's group with my parents, and my journey as an MK seems to be one of the things that triggers that life. There are a lot of challenges and sometimes painful experiences, uh, and with that really prompted me to actually think about helping the indigenous African missionary kids. Very few of African indigenous missionaries' children continue with what their parents do because of the challenges that they go through. It might be education, might be issues of health, resources, lack of resources, and it seems to be so difficult.
Many of us in member care started our member care journey because of personal experiences. So it's good to hear that you've been an MK yourself and now use this experience to help others.
Yeah,
that's really amazing.
sure.
So you recently went to an international TCK conference in Thailand called ITCK. What was that like for you to join that conference?
At first, it was a very eye-opening conference. The conversations we had was something that really triggered my need to actually make the African missionary kids be heard, because little is known about the indigenous African missionary kid. There are no resources that actually can indigenously or in the context that we are be able to support that. Little stories are known for that. Most of the African stories from the missionary kids are generated from the Western missionaries who came and their children are writing stories, but we don't have such stories from within. And so that became a place where we now said, what can we do to let our story out? So that was one of the highlights that came from the ITCK, and the need to make awareness.
You've seen many needs there in the TCKs, and one thing you said is you want to respond through sharing your stories as African Mission Movement. Are there other services you envision for African TCKs?
Yeah, we also, one of the major plays, maybe as we share our stories, we realize that it brings out the areas of needs. For example, by sharing the stories, we realize that there's need for healing, of care, for counseling. Many MKs have gone through trauma. Some found themselves in a war zone. Others have found themselves in being abused by the communities. Others have gone through traumas and even just being frustrated with even life in education. I personally took 14 years to finish a primary school for 8 years. And once you finish high school, your friends are done with college and jobs, and you feel frustrated and you don't know what to do. But through these stories we share, we find the needs that are being responded to, that we need to respond to counseling. We need to respond to how do we develop a system that can help missionaries to comfortably help their children through their academics like any other normal child. How can we do parenting training and coaching for the parents so that they can be able to actually engage in their children even before going? How do we help the church not only to work with the missionary as they send, but see that we are sending a whole family? What do we have in package for them? And do that, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of vision here and passion to change the African mission movement. Packages of services for TCKs before they leave and maybe after they come back. You mentioned the educational pathways.
Yeah.
So we talk about the needs, but sometimes we also talk about the strength of TCKs. Do you see there in the African TCK movement a unique strength in adult TCKs?
Yes, yes. I see it every day. It's a very wonderful experience to work with MKs, adult MKs. One of the things, they have very brilliant ideas about how can we do missions today. They are privileged to have experienced the mission field and understand culture. Their perspective in cross-cultural is different. I have MKs who speak more than 5 languages of indigenous languages because that is where they grew and what they engage in. And so they promise a very wonderful group of people to actually advance the movement in for missions movements. Even coming up with strategies, like some of them go like nurses because of that status, like teachers, but they experience they can be able to connect with the community very well and serve within them. Yeah.
Great, great.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, so your target really of your message, of your passion are the TCKs, then also the churches, and I guess the agencies as well. Is that right?
We have 3 categories. The first, we have the MK themselves, but we cannot reach out to an MK without reaching to the family. And so we have to reach to the parents. And the parents, we have to reach to the sending church or the sending agency that are doing that. And so we get ourselves becoming an helping hand to actually have a workable procedures that can actually enable all parties have a good time in executing the missions work. So what we're doing now is to engage local churches and tell them about what they need to do concerning missions. We bring awareness. It's still a new thoughts. I've talked to several mission agencies, especially when we think about an indigenous African missionary kid. It's very new area because the original work of MKs has been done so much by the Western missionaries. When they come to Africa, everything is set in schooling. They have all that set. But when it comes to an African, it is a very different ground. And so we are trying to tell people there's something we call member care. And this is where it entails, and this is what we are doing. We want to help you to take care of the kids. We would love ourselves to be like an arm that will walk along the church and the mission agencies together to be able to provide the support they need.
I really like this. You cannot reach the TCKs without the parents, and then the parents without the church.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so it's a three layer process that is important, yeah, to educate and to offer, hey, we have something that you need to know before you send out your families. We will have a conference coming up in Kenya of 2024. So this year in October, we have a global member care conference where we bring the world of member care together with the world of African member care. And I think the TCK topic is a very important topic, as many sending nations are at a similar level, like China, for example, as a mission movement. Chile, Argentina as a mission movement, they also don't have books or resources. They don't have their stories told as you shared. And is there anything you would hope to see happen as at such a conference?
Yeah. First of all, this is a wonderful experience. I think it's the right time for for us to have such conversations within the member care body. There's a lot that we need to share where we now understand ourselves that this is what happens in China, in Kenya, in Africa, in Southern Global, and help us build a movement that comprises every one of us. So I'm really glad that we are getting this opportunity, and my prayer is that God will use us in that to help the church, especially the church in Africa, to actually see the vision of what happens when we do care for all those whom we are sending.
Amazing, amazing.
We actually at the place of doing the stories. We have our first magazine coming out in September, in August, which comprises many stories of the African setup. We do that. We are starting our interview channel this coming month, where we will be talking to MKs and just sharing our stories. So something's coming up, and I think by the time the conference comes, we will have something to share also.
Thank you very much, Hosea. This is very encouraging, and I think this will encourage the other people as well. And well, I see you then in Kenya at the conference. It would be great to have you as a presenter as well. And yeah, thank you for the interview, Hosea.
Thank you so much. Thank you.